On the outskirts of Truro, long before paved roads and streetlights, there was said to live a woman named Elizabeth Bethba. She lived alone in a small house at the edge of the woods, keeping mostly to herself. Some say she grew herbs. Others say she spoke to no one for weeks at a time. In small towns, being different is often enough to become a target, and before long, whispers began. They said she was strange. They said she walked the forest paths at night. They said animals gathered near her home. And eventually, they said the word that changes everything in fearful communities: witch. There was never proof.no missing livestock. No cursed families.no unexplained tragedies tied to her. But fear does not need evidence. It feeds on rumor. One autumn night, after too much drink and too much talk, a group of men from town made a terrible decision. They marched to her house with torches, shouting accusations into the darkness. Elizabeth wasn't home. No one knows where she had gone, but her absence didn't stop them. They broke her windows, they tore apart her belongings, and before leaving, they set the house on fire. By morning, nothing remained but ash and smoke. When Elizabeth returned and saw what had been done, witnesses later claimed she didn't cry. She didn't shout, she didn't beg anyone for help. She simply stood there, staring at the ruins of a life. Some say she knelt in the dirt and whispered words no one could understand. Others say the air itself grew colder that day. In the weeks that followed, strange things began to happen around Truro. An early frost killed crops before harvest. Illness spread through families that had never been sickly before. Livestock weakened. The winter that followed was said to be one of the harshest the area had ever seen. And then Elizabeth Bethba disappeared. The story says she was last seen walking alone toward the coast, toward the towering tides of the Bay of Fundy. A fisherman later claimed he saw a figure standing at the water's edge at dusk, unmoving, as the tide rushed in. No body was ever found. After that winter, the sickness faded. The weather softened, life slowly returned to normal. But older generations in the area used to warn their children about Elizabeth Bethba, not as a monster, but as a warning about what fear can turn people into. Because whether she was a witch, or just a lonely woman who was treated cruelly, the town was never quite the same after the night her house burned. And some say, on the coldest nights, when the wind moves through the trees just right, you can still hear a woman whispering where the forest meets the fields outside Truro.